Black Women for Beginners by S. Pearl Sharp. Illustrated by Beverly Hawkins Hall. Black Women for Beginners by S. Pearl Sharp. Today's chapter, we start with Madonnas or Madams. Did they bring you promises of things to come? Did they buy you some beer or wine? As the hunters devour you with rough caresses, do they still smile and say you are divine? Archie Weller from Australia. Madonna or Madam? The black woman is worshipped as Madonna and worshipped as whore, a dichotomy not of her own design. The Madonna goes back to the earliest humans who created their gods and goddesses based on their observations of nature. The Holy Trinity and Resurrection are in the mythology and icons of ancient Africa and Asia centuries before Christianity evolved. And so above we have a symbol of the Trinity, Oset, Ost, or Isis, who's the mother, Osar, Osiris, who is the father, and Haru, or Horus, which is the son. The African goddess Ost, or Oset, Isis in Greek, is the original Madonna, the mother goddess, the embodiment of the feminine spirit, the goddess of navigation and the moon. The Madonna's power is in giving and restoring life, domestic matters, natural phenomena, and initiation. This is a picture. It's an earthenware image of Isis from approximately 663 to 641 BC. The Madam developed some 4,000 years ago and blossomed in the 15th and 16th centuries AD as the original mythology was reshaped. Isis, acquiring the knowledge of good and evil, was divinized. The later Eve, acquiring the same knowledge, became the cause of man's fall from grace, the bad guy, the unclean, unholy one, banished. Who wrote that? Mother female was dropped from the Trinity, and Isis was sometimes derided as a pagan goddess. The black woman was worshipped as the virtuous Venus, mother love, lust. The Madam's power is in giving and restoring life, so to speak, domestic matters, natural phenomena, and initiation. In the early 1800s, Saartjie, a South African, was dubbed the Hottentot Venus and put on public display in London and Paris. The Black Venus, in the 1500s, by Italy's Alessandro Vittoria. Venus Africaine, by French sculptor Charles Cordier, 1852. In Christianity, late Isis became the Virgin Mary. Well, naturally, she brought her black and her power with her. It was 325 years after the death of the prophet Jesus that the Council of Bishops of the Roman Catholic Church approved the Virgin Mary and the Immaculate Conception as church symbols. When Christians came into power after the Edict of Constantine, they were powerless against the great hold of the Black Madonna on the people, so they ended by compounding her religion with theirs, changing her name to Mary. It is significant that the mother of Buddha was called Mariamma. J.A. Rogers, Sex and Race. Speaking of Mary, this is a picture of Jesus on a gold coin, circa 705 AD. Described in a letter to W.B. Du Bois from a collection of the Cambridge Encyclopedia Company, London, as Jesus Christ with woolly hair, a Negro. Osset, Isis, Black Madonna images are everywhere, including some places where a real black woman is not welcome. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. She's in Poland, Russia, Switzerland, and Spain. There are more than 300 Vierges Noires just in France. One of Europe's oldest Black Madonnas of Loreto, Italy, was destroyed by fire in 1930 and restored by Pope Pius XI. The Black Virgin's worshippers include several popes and kings. Pilgrims journeying to the shrine of Mount Vergine in Italy would climb the steps of the church on their knees, licking each step with their tongues. We are thus equating the blackness of the image with their power. And that was from Leonard Moss in Quest of the Black Virgin, USA. Those bishop gentlemen were not thrilled about the sister in their midst and tried to explain away her darkness. It's the candle smoke. It's the wood. It's the spiritual darkness. It's dark in here. There was even a touch of the Black Madonna genocide during the French Revolution and other revolts against the church. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, oh, oh, Mary, don't you moan. If candles cause the blackness of these figures, then why haven't candles blackened their robes or any of the white Madonnas? Enough said. She's black because she is black. What is God? What is God? What does God look like? Well, she's black. Which seemed enough for Shakespeare, who lost his head to the dark lady of the sonnets. Then will I swear beauty herself is black, and all they foul that thy complexion lack. Shakespeare, Sonnet 132. Several Shakespearean scholars identify her as Lucy or Luce, Negro, or Morgan, a most popular courtesan. The sonnets were written around 1597, when London was teeming with Africans, and African women were much courted by the young better-class men around town. African women were seen as highly desirable sex symbols in Germany, Italy, France, Spain, and Portugal. Edward Scobie, African Women in Early Europe. The chocolate fixation was rampant in France. The wife of King Louis XIV had a child by her African slave. The infant, Louise Marie, was secreted in a convent where she gained fame as the Black Nun of Moray. Isabeau was the black diva courtesan during Louis XV's reign. And the Sudanese is Miria, married into French royalty. Shrines were built in her honor, and after her death, she was Madonna'd as Notre Dame de Liesse. This took place while in the Americas, sexually having an enslaved black woman was a white male's rite of passage to manhood. She could be freely raped, used, and was therefore considered, through some strange twist of perception, as wanton or amoral. The horror image prevailed on many levels. Next comes the warmer race, from sable sprung, to love each thought, to lust, each nerve is strung. These sooty dames, well versed in Venus school, make love an art, and boast they kiss by rule. Jamaica, a poem in 3 parts, which was written in 1777 in London. This is an image of the 1908 New Orleans Blue Book, conveniently listing madams and prostitutes and their services in one-drop categories. I've lied and I've prattled with 50 fair maids, and changed them oft I see. But of all sweet creatures my eyes ever saw, a copper-faced damsel for me. That was an editorial cartoon on Hawaii in the late 1800s. One of the most Madonna madams of media brings us to the Cleopatra controversy. Image manipulation, or beauties in the eye of. These are pictures of Cleopatra, Queen of Egypt, from the Ptolemaic votive plaque. Then on the right we have Cleopatra, a Queen of Egypt painting by African-American Earl Sweeting, followed by, on the lower left-hand corner, Cleopatra, Queen of Egypt engraving by the European J. Chapman in 1804. "14 Cleopatra plays, 3 Cleopatra films, 1,067 Cleopatra poems, 2 operas, 194 artist renderings, 11 record albums, 37 t-shirts, 1 coin. The lady's been dead for 2,000 years, but folks are still fighting over her. What did she have, and where could they get it? She had a courtesan style and seductiveness. She had the undivided attention of men who ruled the world, so she made history." There's an article in Newsweek. Afrocentrism. Was Cleopatra black? Facts or fantasies? A debate rages over what to teach our kids about their roots. She had enemies, which makes good press. Obscene courtesan, scheming diva, whore. She had power, and she loved using it for political ends. I receive her as having a strong African loyalty and a political animus of high order at a time when the Greek woman was a vassal. Through her political sexual relationships, she kept the harshest aspects of the Roman Empire off of Egypt, the land she loved. John Henry Clark, USA. This is not an erotic interlude. Keep in mind, I move multitudes. The Asiatic black woman, hard care beat drumming. It's hard to keep a good woman down, so I keep coming. Blow for blow, I take and I give some. Still I rise and I symbolize wisdom. Queen Latifah, USA.
Rap girl.
There were 6 other Cleopatras in the family before the famous one. Theda Bara, Claudette Colbert, and Liz Taylor not included. She was born in Africa in 69 BC and ascended the throne at age 18. By then, Egypt had been conquered by and mixed with Assyria, Persia, Greece, and Rome, and this ancient black civilization was becoming more white. Research indicates that her mother was Persian, that's a bit African, and her father was a Greek, possibly born of an African slave woman. Well, now you can do your own Cleo family tree based on where you're coming from, remembering that the prejudices of the time were of culture, not color. Makeda is one of the most famous sisters ever. She ruled Ethiopia for 50 years when it spanned India, parts of Asia, and the Mediterranean. Makeda was a brilliant trade strategist and builder. One day she dropped by Jerusalem with a ship full of goods and servants to negotiate a trade agreement with King Solomon. I sailed west to reach east and had to round off the earth as I went. The hair from my head thinned and gold was made on 3 continents. I am so hip, even my errors are correct. I am so perfect, so divine, so ethereal, so surreal, I cannot be comprehended except by my own permission. Nikki Giovanni, USA. Solomon built her a crystal palace and a visiting diva throne. Together, they created a future king, Menelik. Then, Makeda took her trade agreement and stuff and sailed home. Her legendary visit is one of the world's most celebrated romances. This is a picture from Frank Buscher's Nackt Sklavin painting, 1880, and they used a Moroccan model. My black triangle, sandwiched between the geography of my thighs. My black triangle is so rich that it flows over onto the dry crotch of the world, and though it spares a thought for history, my black triangle has spread beyond his story. By Grace Nichols from Guyana. And that ends Madonnas and Madams. I'll be speaking with you again and reading our next chapter as we go through Black Women for Beginners. We'll read our next chapter, which is Witches, Wives, and Warriors. I will. And all that is or ever shall be is but reverberations and repercussions of that first almighty thunderclap. I will. It is both a declaration and a command. It affirms dominion. Take a moment and whisper it to yourself. I will. Feel the power. See you next week. Thank you for coming.